Welcome back to Halloween Lives, the podcast of Michael Myers. I am your host today, Austin Duncan. Happy Halloween hangover. It's officially here. The time has came and gone. And, Blaine and I are talking. It's almost like a new fiscal year here at Halloween Lives. So welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for joining us. We've got a banger for you today. Blaine is on hiatus, but he'll be back next week. But today, joining me, man, think back 8 months ago when we were just starting this channel. We had this guy on the show, one of our first guests. This guy is an incredibly creative, gifted director. He's from Canada, and he's been on, like I said, he's been on one of our episodes. He's been on both of our live streams. And I can't wait to have him back on again today to talk about the sequel to Halloween Stalks, which if you haven't seen Halloween Stalks, check it out down here. It's going to be in the description of the video. If you're listening on podcast, check it out on YouTube. Just look up Halloween Stalks. Honestly, you can look up Halloween fan film and you'll find our guy right there as well. It recently just hit 100,000 views on Friday the 13th of all days. And it is... the way I would describe it is if you've seen Never Hike Alone, Halloween Stalks is to Halloween what Never Hike Alone is to Friday the 13th. It's absolutely cinematic and takes fan film to a whole new level. Like, we'll get into it today. Dominick and I were talking a little bit before the show on how the stakes have been raised. And man, when you hear the word fan film, you're not expecting what we have going on here today. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to bring on the talented director, Dominick Cousineau-Benoit. How we doing?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
Dude, it's so good to be back on the show with you. I mean, we've had you on the lives, and there's kind of a pace we got to keep going, and it's you talk to somebody for a couple minutes and then you got to move on. I'm excited to spend the next hour or so chatting with you, man. Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, just to correct you, I was on the first live. I wasn't able to make it on I think it was the 40th episode. You did the second one, wasn't it?
Oh, were you not in our last live? I swear it was only 2 weeks ago, but it feels like...
I was supposed to, but I couldn't make it because I was deep into pre-production with the new film. I couldn't make it. Actually, I was supposed to start filming that very night on October 13th.
Oh my gosh.
That was your live, right?
Yeah, October 13th. Yeah.
And we couldn't start that day. But luckily, because you know how much I love symbolism, we kicked off production on October 19th. And October 19th is the birth date of Michael Myers. So that made sense to me.
Oh my gosh.
I have to underline something. It's my third time on the show now. Third time's the charm. From now on, you always make the introduction. Because last time, on the first live you made, I believe your brother called me a problem. He's always a problem. I went back to that. That was pretty funny. But from now on, it's your job to introduce me.
I'll let Blaine know. He's going to be watching once it drops. And, it's too bad he couldn't be here tonight because he was the guy that put me onto you, too. He was like...
True.
Because Blaine and I are always, just YouTube Michael Myers. It's very simple. And that's what ended up making this channel. But he was like, dude, I have to show you a fan film. And it's kind of one of those things. And you and I have talked about this a lot off air. Mm-hmm. When you hear fan film, there is kind of a stigma that surrounds it. And it's not, I don't want to take anything away from smaller creators. But I am guilty of this too. I've put out fan films that were made on an iPhone, no microphone, no real actors, no equipment. And, you can put it out there. So it is an oversaturated market at like anything in this world. So one of the first things before we really get into the sequel is, how have you done it? I think, I know for a fact, a lot of young filmmakers that watch our show that probably look up to you a lot, man. And you have found a way to carve out a piece of this world of fan directing, and it almost feels like a disrespect to just call you a fan film director, because you are the most like, we'll get into it, but you're the most like creative, symbolic, well thought out dude I've ever met. But how did you make something that stood out above the rest?
Well, first of all, I'll never take that as an insult or anything. Being called a fan film, actually, it is quite a compliment, because every creator from every background who decides to make something out of love for something else, they have all my respect, especially when they know they don't have the proper skills because they didn't study or work in that area, and they will put themselves out there anyway. Like, it takes guts, because putting yourself out there and open yourself to critics is not an easy thing to do. So kudos to every creator of any background who will make fan films, because we love those and we appreciate the love those people, me included, have for our beloved source material. Regarding Halloween Stalks, I didn't approach it as I was going to make a fan film. I was going to make a film. It was my first professional short film. It just happened that I wanted to practice myself and experiment using one of my favorite movies of all time. So I paid homage to Halloween, and then, of course, it became a fan film. And I'm not complaining about the views it got me. I'm not known, not at all. Halloween Stalks worked for me very, very well. Otherwise, my first short film I would have done would never have been seen as much in a short amount of time. And you mentioned earlier, we managed to reach 100K views on October 13th, which is amazing, because the film was released on a Friday the 13th as well, 9 months before. So 9 months to the day, we reached that. And now I'm not sure of the date it is, but we passed the 120K views.
Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't pull up the video before you. So you've hit 20,000 views in the last like 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. What happened is that I think October is is the spooky season, right? So everybody is into Halloween stuff, and during October, I think it was an average of 8,000 views a day, without me doing anything, because I was busy on working on the sequel. So now I see a drop because it's November and people are aiming to Christmas, but still, like 20,000 views in, like you said, about 3 weeks. That was so flattering and incredible, and it really like drove me to work just harder on our upcoming sequel. Yeah.
That was something else I wanted to get into as we get into the sequel, because obviously the cat is out of the bag. We've talked about it on the show. And obviously you've put out a trailer now. There's a sequel coming, and I think, had there been very little views and you were still going to do this because you love this, I think maybe I know how my brain works, and I can tell you, if there was very little views, but I knew I wanted to do a sequel, there would almost be no pressure. You can just go in. It's still, you can do whatever you want. You can still get experimental. Do you feel any pressure or constriction in what you have to bring to the table now? Because you've set a gold standard in the Halloween fan film world, man.
I do feel some pressure, but perhaps not for the reason you would think of. When I made the first one, it was encompassing. Like, it was my whole life. For 3 months, a little bit more, I put my day job aside, and from mid-September to mid-January, I was all in that film, which led me to some sort of postpartum depression when the film was released. Like, from one day to another, to the next one, I just have nothing to do anymore. I felt like a parent who let go of the hand of his child and look at him like do what he has to do in the world. So my film grew pretty quickly at first. Like, I believe we managed to get 25,000 views in the first 2 weeks. So, man, thank God.
Oh my gosh.
But the pressure wasn't there at that time. I was still, processing the fact that I was done with this. And after that, some kind of depression passed, ideas starting to flow in my brain for the next one. So I started develop the story for the one I'm working on right now, probably in February or March. So back then, peer pressure wasn't a thing. I was just being creative, and that was to overcome the grief of
Right.
being done with the first one. And of course, back then, it was just ideas, like ideas flowing, and an idea remain an idea until you start working actively on it and you start bringing people on board. Until summer, I wasn't sure if that would be a film I would make this year, because I had some minor health issues, but those were really limiting. Like, I'm 37 years old and I'm developing arthritis. Yeah. But I had this image of old ladies with like fingers like this, but for me, it's in the arm. And for a long while, I didn't know what it was. I thought I hurt myself working out, or I don't know. And for months, it would just, get worse. And I went to specialists. I tried medication. It wouldn't do anything. Until one day we finally figured it out. And I was lucky enough to get the proper medication. And now I'm just like new. But for a few months, as I wasn't able to do much, my mind wasn't focused on making another film. And during the summer, when I came back to my old self and creativity just exploded, because for months it was kind of put aside, I felt I have to make this film now. Also, there was a momentum to capitalize on. This year was the 45th anniversary of the original. Mine was still, in a way, fresh in people's memory. If I waited one more year, making a sequel to a fan film when there's thousands of new videos and content on YouTube uploaded daily, mine perhaps would have started to fade, or its popularity would have started to fade. So I really wanted to seize the momentum on working on a second one that I knew people were looking for and expecting, while the convention was going to happen in Pasadena, the one you went, lucky you. So yeah, I kind of kicked my own butt, and you don't have much time, dude, but you can make it. So start working now. And yeah, here we are.
I remember talking to you very early on in pre-production when everything was up here and nothing was out on pages. I don't know if you had started writing or where you were necessarily at, but it seemed like once you had everything where it needed to be, it was like, it's go time. And I've seen it go. Like, obviously I helped create the logo for the film.
Absolutely.
And at that point there was very little to show for the film. And that wasn't even that long ago. And we have a trailer, we've got behind the scenes footage. We've got, where are we at in the production right now, Dominick?
We started filming on October 19, as I said earlier. We had so far 4 full filming nights, and we're almost halfway through the production process. So yeah, 4 more nights to go. Luckily, now we're done with the outdoor scenes. We are moving indoor pretty soon, which will allow us to cheat a little and perhaps not film only during nights, because those are excruciating shifts. Those hours are killer, man. Especially when you do 2 filming nights consecutively, which we did. Because usually when I have a shooting day, I'm up for, it's an average, but I counted it. I'm up for an average of 21 hours.
That's brutal.
Yeah, and when you have 2 filming nights consecutively, I cannot stay in bed for 10 hours. I have to wake up early to prepare the next day and think about my shots and open the ground for everyone, because again, it's a bénévole. What's the word in English? People doing it on their time and without being paid. What's the word for that? Volunteer.
Wild? Yes.
They volunteer, right? So I ask them already a big lot by asking them for their time, their talent. But I can't ask too much. So I will open the filming locations. I will arrive early. I will set pretty much everything. So when they arrive, we can jump right in, So those are long hours. They are very, very excruciating, but man, this is so worth it. You mentioned the first teaser I posted on October 31st. How did you like it? What was your impression?
Gosh. I mean, you're the king of just subtle hints, and I'll say this. I have now. Don't come asking me because I'm a zip lip, but I have a little bit of insight on what's going on. So I saw that trailer in a different way than maybe some people did. Right?
I told you way too much, huh? Because for the audience listening right now, when Austin and I were working on the new logo, we would have those hours-long discussions about what I was doing, and you kind of became my confidant because I needed to put words on those thoughts I had on my mind, and you were there. So as we were working on Halloween-related stuff, it just made sense to throw all those things at you so I could get a response and know how it's perceived by someone outside this lizard brain. And you were pretty well responsive, so I figured I was on the right path. But yeah, you know a lot about this film. You don't know the ending, you don't know everything, but you know a lot.
I know more than most people who watched it. I would say probably 99% of the people who watched it. And all I could think of is like, Dominick is so smart, man. You know what you're doing, and the little hints. I mean, there's nothing in your face, but it is just the symbolism in your stuff is just incredible and should be studied for hundreds of years to come. It's incredible.
Less is always more. You don't want to showcase too much. You don't want to give away too much right away, because people, it's not that they will lose interest, but you have to keep surprise. You have to keep an ace in your sleeve. If you show all your hand right away, how will you surprise people at the end, right?
Yeah, it's a great little, and it doesn't give anything away. It just lets you know, hey, this is another great, like, beautifully shot film. There's a crisis happening. You've got a woman who is banging on a door, looking for help, and there is a hand that shows up, and some breathing, and we know what the name of this film is.
We love this breathing sound, don't we? But yeah, a teaser is made to tease. You don't want to give information. You want to give an idea of the tone, the atmosphere, and drag people so they ask for more. And speaking of that, do we have more?
Oh, we might have more. Do we wanna jump in?
Sure. So for you guys, I decided to prepare a little something. I edited it earlier today, so it's really fresh out of the oven. It's a 20 seconds long clip, something. I like to give you some breaking news here on this platform because your brother and you yourself were pretty much the first ones who gave me like a platform to talk about my work. So it's always my pleasure to pay you back this way. And yeah, I wanted to showcase something fresh, something new. Again, it doesn't give away too much, but it's a little taste of the film. So it pays homage to another horror film, because before playing the little teaser, you know how much I enjoy putting Easter eggs and pay homage to the first Halloween. Well, to the Halloween franchise in the first one. I'm still doing it like 10 times more in this one, but I also play at paying homage to other horror films who impacted me or I really enjoyed. So without further ado, how about we just play that thing and you give me your impressions, because you haven't seen it yet, right?
This is my first time. I literally have a clip of something that I'm dying to watch on my computer, and I'm about to play it, and I haven't watched it. Blaine hasn't seen it. He'll be seeing this live. He won't even see it, when I'm watching
it. That.
Let's do it, man. Let's check it out. This is a clip from Halloween Stalks II.
Simple, right?
Dude,
hopefully effective.
I don't know if the camera will pick it up. I got goosebumps, man.
So what was the nut? What film did I pay homage to here?
I was maybe not paying attention to the symbolism as much as I should have. I would say it reminds me a bit of It.
True. Yeah, the clown. That could. Yeah, the framing and the white mask looked a little bit like Pennywise. True. I didn't think about it.
And he drips back into the shadow, which reminded me a bit of the gutter in the newest film. But what should I be seeing? What are we doing here?
Oh my God! It's a recreation of the window escape scene in Barbarian.
Oh man, what a great film too! I gotta rewatch that now. I saw it. I watched it once last October, but I got to check it out again.
Yeah, that film was a silent hit. I had no idea what I was getting to, and I decided to just put it on. I knew Bill Skarsgård was in it, talking about Pennywise in It. I hadn't read anything, because actually I read one thing. Don't read anything about that film and get in there blind, so you'll be blown away, which I was. And that scene in which the lady kind of escaped through the window and she's dragged on the floor by a neighbor while the mother, that monster in the film, tried to grab her through the window. I don't know, man. That gave me goosebumps. Like I had to rewind this and watch it again and again, because that scene was so effective yet simple and well filmed. The cinematography was amazing. So, of course, I just thought, how about this happens at night, and instead of that monster, it's the shape who just disappear in the dark, because this allowed me to pay homage to Halloween 1, to the original Halloween in another way. When he disappears, his mask fades in the dark. So it's kind of the opposite of when he appears behind Laurie Strode. And if you pay attention and you go grab a frame from the first film of that scene and you compare it to the framing in this one, they're like the same. Actually, I may have those on my phone because I'm a nerd. You know me, right?
Absolutely. No, this is one thing that maybe people don't know going into this is, here's what I'll say. I'm always looking for some sort of extra meaning with things. Let's see this here.
So that's a screenshot of my scene?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Just beautiful, man.
Oh, I'm showing way too much. What did I do?
It's leaking live.
I'm doing it like the opposite way. Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
Gives you an idea.
It's what I was going to get into is just that, like, I'm a big fan of like Halloween Ends because I see like deeper meanings, or I try to look at it almost like a novel or whatever. And I look at it in a poetic way, where like the average moviegoer just wants to see what they want to see. And I respect that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm always searching for ways to make things deeper than they already are. But then I talk to you and you tell me about, the simplest things where if I was making this film, I would have paid it no mind. I would have gotten, if you needed, let's just pretend you needed a water bottle, you would have found like the water bottle that was in the background scene of Halloween 4, and you would have found that exact bottle and brought it in here. That's the level of love and care that is going especially into this Halloween Stalks 2 film. Legitimately, when this film comes out, I want everybody who's watching this right now to watch it in 1 or 0.25 speed after you watch it the first time, and just look in every nook and cranny of this film, because I guarantee there is so much to unpack in each shot of this film.
Plenty. Some of those insides or ints are very visible and very first degree, but others are hidden. And I think when you watch a film, it's a pleasure to watch it again and find out stuff you haven't seen or spot the first time around, and you watch it a third time and then you will see other things. So I don't pretend like mine really is full of those, but I try to put in as much as I can without having a negative effect on the story or the film looking too much over padded. Like it's always a question of balance. But everything I can put it in and it works, I'll do. I had months creating the story, and I had months thinking about the cinematography and about all I wanted to include in there. So it's a memorable experience.
And that was another thing we talked about, is the power of subtlety, which I also think you are incredible at. This film is one of those where it won't beat you over the head with its references, but every time you think, I wonder if that meant anything, it probably did.
There's nothing there by chance. Every line of dialogue has a purpose. I really wrote and rewrote and rewrote those dialogues to make them simple, reduce them as much as I could so the message will pass through anyway. I include Easter eggs in those. But yeah, there's nothing in the film, either it is in the set design or the production design or the writing or the costumes or anything that doesn't have a reason. I didn't leave any place to chance.
And that's what I mean. And I think we're almost answering that question I had at the beginning of, like, what sets your film apart? How did you make something that stood above so many others in this market that's huge? And I think it's stuff like that where, everything was so, and it's for something that I haven't seen yet, and the world hasn't seen yet. Obviously, it exists in Halloween Stocks, but the sequel, man, I mean, it is really just bringing everything to a new level. And so I did kind of want to get into on your side, just as a fan of the franchise. What's your favorite sequel, man? What's your favorite sequel of the Halloween series that maybe, maybe there's some inspiration, or maybe you're inspired in some ways by some sequels that aren't necessarily your favorite? How does it, I mean, you got to go kind of to a mindset of you're making a sequel to a Halloween film, and you're not alone in the thought process. There's been plenty of, Rick Rosenthal did it twice.
I know. Yeah, true. That's a pretty good question. I might be biased, believe it or not, but for the past few weeks, every time I am driving from one location to another, I need to focus and keep my head Halloween related. So I've been listening to pretty much every episode of your podcast, guys.
Oh, let's go.
You really speak about the love you have for some of those sequels, and I remember your brother saying he really enjoyed Halloween 4 really deeply, and it could be his favorite, not only Halloween sequel but Halloween film if the mask was different. I agree that the fourth one has really, really good stuff in it. For a while, I think my favorite sequel would be the 2018 film. But I think it was the magic of when it came out. It was fresh. It was closer to the original than pretty much everything we had for decades.
Yeah.
But now that 5 years has passed, it's still a good film, but I'm not sure if it's my favorite sequel anymore. I think Halloween 2 in 1981 would be. It's a direct follow-up. I know that Rick Rosenthal did his best to recreate the cinematography and the look of the first one. Symbolism was there. Respect for Carpenter's work was there as well. The sister storyline apart, which I've never been a fan of, I really like that one. The reason why I don't like the sister storyline is that as it gives Michael a purpose, it makes him less a threat. If he's aiming for a specific someone and you just step aside, he won't walk through you. But
right.
That middle scene in 2018 when he's in the streets for the first time, he has his mask back and he just goes from house to house. This is the shape, in my opinion.
Yes.
And say everything you want about David Gordon Green in that film and in that particular scene, he really nailed the character.
I have to agree with you. We did some episodes on our favorite scenes of all time, and that I believe was either my number 1 or number 2 pick, because it is to me that same way. Like, that is the shape. I don't know why they released that scene early, because it is probably one of the best examples of, like,
it's the second trailer, actually. Like the whole scene is the second trailer.
Why would
recut a little bit, but yeah, why? Come on.
It's literally if I had to describe Michael Myers or The Shape to somebody who had no idea, I would play them that scene. Even though the best interpretation of The Shape in my mind is the original, that scene is just like, okay, he's like a shadow that just goes in, kills, leaves, and it's just so perfect, man. So I mean, I had a feeling you would like that scene as well. But yeah, that is totally the best example of The Shape.
It's funny what you said, because like you reference Nick Castle would be the best Shape ever, but James Jude Courtney did such a terrific job that a little bit over than a year ago, when Benoit Sans Souci was here for the first time, putting the mask on and practicing the walking in my condo. The very first not teaser but part or extrait sample, the very first sample of a film I showed him so he could get familiar with the character. It wasn't from the original. It was that scene in 2018. It's the very first thing I showed him, and look at how he moves. That's what I would say to Benoit. Look at how the Shape moves. Look at how he walks. Look at how his arms won't move, how he turns. And we practiced it from there. And then we moved to the original and we watched the whole film. And after that, we practiced a little bit more. But he actually went with James Jude Courtney first.
I think James Jude Courtney did a phenomenal job at matching, especially Nick Castle and Dick Warlock's Michael Myers. He's not quite as, stiff and robotic almost that Dick Warlock gets, especially towards the second half of Halloween 2. It's something just in the way that it's inhuman in the way that he walks. And that was something that I thought you nailed in the first film as well.
Oh, all credits to Benoit. I directed him, but he did it. Like, I mean, he has it in himself, because I would try to show him what I wanted. I'm no actor, so I would look silly, and actually I would lead him in the wrong direction. Like, do what I do. No. Watch the TV and do it. But he did it. So all credits to Benoit.
It really is. I think it's another thing that sets a good Michael Myers film away from a different one. I will say this. I love Halloween H2O. It is probably one of my favorite sequels. We're going to be doing a re-ranking on this show here pretty shortly, maybe next week, because the movies are fresh in our mind. I love Halloween H2O. I think it's one of the best sequels, and I love Chris Duran's portrayal of Michael Myers, but it is very different than almost any of the other Michael Myers. And I think for me, sometimes it takes me out of the movie because I'm like, okay, this is a different Michael Myers we're dealing with, where guys like Brad Loree and obviously guys like James Jude Courtney were very specific on replicating the original and trying to bring that, elevate that into a new film. And I love the way Benoit did it in Halloween Stalks, and I'm excited to see what we got going on with this second one. Obviously, we've seen a little bit here, and
only a little bit.
Yeah.
You haven't seen him walking or mannerism wise or anything, but yeah, because this time around Benoit wasn't able to take the part. He's still in the film, is in his own capacity, smaller one, but he's in there. But yeah, we have a new cast member who joined in, and God, he's good. I remember 2 months ago when I went to Benoit's place and we had dinner, and I was excited to tell him about the story I had in mind for the sequel. And he stopped me and told me, Dom, I'm really sorry, but I can't do it this year, because he's way too busy with work, and he's having helicopter lessons. So like his schedule was already full. And for 2 days, I was like inconsolable. I was broken down because he was my pillar. And back then I had nothing set for the sequel. I had the story in my mind, and I really took him for granted. Like, he did it the first time. He's my friend, so of course he's coming back. And when he told me he wasn't able to, for 2 days I was in a bad place. And then I started to think, perhaps in 1981, when Nick Castle couldn't come back, they all reacted like that. Oh no, what are we gonna do? Nick is not coming back. And then Dick comes on set and he brings something else, but it works as well, and it's really good, and it became iconic too. So I decided to just change my way of seeing things and see it as an opportunity. I was still a little bit stressed out until my first AD, my first assistant director, introduced me to Samuel, a good friend of his. Samuel is he's an actor, but he's also a very talented stuntman. So he's really self-conscious of his body and his movements. And when we first met, I brought him the brand new mask right there, the new hero that you can see right there.
Yes.
He was the first one to put it on. And I brought the coverall as well. So we're there in his living room. I'm meeting the guy for the first time. And 30 minutes after we talked a little bit to introduce each other, he puts the suit on. And we turn the lights off, so it's darker there. And this guy, he's a method actor. So as soon as he put the mask on, he stopped responding. So I asked him a question, and he tilts his head, and he won't talk to me anymore. That was freaky, man, because I didn't know the guy. It's not like Benoit, who kind of did the same thing the year before, but he had been my friend for 18 years, so I knew him. I didn't know Samuel. I met him 30 minutes before, and he's starting to do that. So right after that, we went down the street so I could see him walk. It was early October, so it was already dark. No one was in the streets, and he's walking under the light beams. So a few steps is in the dark, and then a few more steps, he walks under the light beam, and then in the dark again. That was something. That was very cool, but I was creepy as hell.
That's a hell of an audition, man. That is I think back, Blaine is the same way. We were kids, we would hang out, and he would put on the mask, and all of a sudden I'm not talking to my brother anymore. I'm talking to the shape. And I know firsthand, but like you said, that's somebody I knew. To have essentially a stranger slip on the mask and start tilting the head. You can't really see his eyes. I mean, you were right next to Michael Myers at that point. The portrayal is spot on then, and you have someone or something special in your hands when you react yourself. You react this way towards someone, a character, you're making a film or just whatever, joking around, and still you're freaked out. You know that the portrayal is well done, and this is film worth. I mean, yeah, that is, and it's, you had the mask, you were already looking at it, and then you put it on somebody and it becomes this different thing. We should talk about the mask, because obviously behind you, we got on the leftmost side, we've got the new hero, and to our right, there is the hero from the first movie, both done by the incredible Darkness Reigns. Talk a little bit about the creation of this new prop, because obviously I think there would be some, almost like in the second movie, some pull to just stick with the first one. But why did we go back and start from scratch? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, kudos to Danny Caraballo, aka Darkness Reign, who's, if not one of the best mask reeler I know, and I think there is. I feel so fortunate. Like I met the guy by pure chance online, of course. I think a year and a half ago, I was looking for my first ever rehold mask. I didn't know what it was. What was a rehold mask? I only knew that those shitty masks you can buy at Spirit Halloween, they cost like $100. The mold is good, the shape is good, but they're shiny. The hair is a mess. And by pure chance, I found out on YouTube that you could rehold a mask. And back then I thought, oh, perhaps it's easy. So I started to watch a video thinking the next day I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of steps. Those are complex processes. Oh, paint. Oh, okay. So no, I quit that idea as soon as I started that video. So I get online and I start shopping, thinking it's easy to find rehold mask. It is not.
No.
Those reholders, they have long waiting lists. And yeah, on a random night, I think it's in May 2022 or something, Danny, that I don't know, but I started to follow maybe a week or two before on Instagram. It's 11 p.m. and he just put on a story where he's selling my old one on the right for a very fair price. So I wrote to him, "Oh, this is my mask. This is mine. Huh? Put it aside. Just give me a few minutes so I create a PayPal account, and it's mine. It's mine. I want it." So he put it aside and he sold it to me. And when I told him I was about to make a fan film, he was quite excited. I don't know. He probably didn't know what film would ensue, like quality level. I didn't know myself. Of course, when he saw the final film, and I kept it in the loop when I was in pre-production and during production, so he would have special insights, he was really, really excited. At one point during filming, the neck of the one he sold me first was starting flaking. Perhaps we weren't super gentle with it. Maybe Benoit did a little Nick Castle of himself and would like walk around with it in his hand. So yeah, it's flaking in the neck. Let me see.
Yeah, bring that beautiful thing over. I mean, even still, man, that's your own personal battle.
It does look good. No, I agree. But those white dots, I couldn't do anything with them. And they were getting bigger with over time, and they became apparent on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there are a few scenes where it was starting to flake in the first one, and it's the only mask I had. So I tried to light it differently so you wouldn't see it. But I knew that for the sequel, I couldn't use that one. So I reached out to Danny, and in the meantime, he felt bad that the mask he sold me was flaking a little bit, even though it was because we were working hard with it. Mm-hmm. But he told me, "Dude, I'm going to make another one. I'm going to send it to you for free. Shipping costs on me. Don't worry, you'll have another one." And that was last year while I was aiming towards the end of production of the first one. So I told him, "Hey, man, I really appreciate it. But wait, I know you already have a long waiting list. Do what you have to do. As long as I have it in time for the sequel, I hope I make next year, I'll be happy." And that gave him time to perfect his process. Like in the last year, it was always on the corner of his mind that he was going to make the best mask he could for Halloween Stalks II. And knowing that, he's starting to explore different ways of work. I don't know. And I don't pretend I understand what he does. He just told me that he really upgraded his process. Like, I think the paints, the sealant is different, the hair is different. You can see it right now.
Yeah.
And he assured me that as that mask was going to be the new face of Halloween Stalks 2, it's the mask he would put the most work and the most care on to this day. So right there, I own the best work of Danny Carabello. And do you want to see the beast from close?
Yes, please. And I do want to say I had the pleasure of meeting Danny out at H45, and I asked him about it. I said, "You're doing Dominick's mask right now. I know for a fact because you and I were just kind of finishing up our building of the logo, and we were talking about this as it was going on." And he told me, he's like, "Man, that thing is perfect." And
it is.
Like, it's gonna be perfect for this movie. So let's take a look at this, man.
Look at that, man. Even the neck hole.
It is
that I didn't have in the first one, but the hair, the eye. He told me that this time he was lucky to get his hands on a mask where the eyes were smaller than usual, so he had more working area to make them really, really perfect. It's a well-lit room right now. Usually those masks look their best in a cinematic lighting, minimal. Here, It's all washed out, yet look at this. This is scary. This is pure perfection.
It really is. I mean, it was staring at us this whole interview, and I couldn't help.
Oh, he's going back there too.
I would keep staring back at it, and what's crazy is, you look at the two next to each other right now, and you can see there's obvious differences. But that mask, that other mask, is a year old, and it is, obviously it's aged, and I think when fans see part 2, it'll be like you filmed them at the same time, man. It is beautiful.
That's the thing. The new mask looks better in every ways, yet he worked on it to make it similar to the first one. So, of course, in the film, in the dimmed down lighting and a controlled cinematic environment, they really look alike. You can see it right now. Those are two brothers. Those are the Duncan Brothers of the Halloween masks. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. Working with the right tools make the work so much more pleasant.
Right. Yeah. Because, especially when you say you got this great new actor putting on the mask, and then you frame it up on the camera and you get Danny's brilliant work on there, just takes it to a new level, man. And I think that's sort of the whole story when it comes to Halloween Stalks 2 is taking everything to a whole new level. Talk about the size of the cast coming in this time, man, because and maybe relay it to what you were working with on part 1 and how it's grown.
This is something else. I didn't expect what it would become. All I knew is that the film would be longer. I don't have an ensemble cast. It's still a pretty straightforward story. A lot will happen, of course, but I kept it simple again because this is the secret ingredient of a Halloween film. It's not about the shape. Of course, the shape is in there, and it will appear at some point. But it's always about the characters. You want to relate to them. You want to care about them. So if you have too many of them, then you won't spend enough time with everyone to really create some kind of a bond. So you have to keep it simple and small. The scale is all about the story. First of all, last year was my first professional short film. So of course, this year's is my second one. I learned a lot from the first one. The crew is way bigger. Because,
that's what I meant to say the whole time was the crew.
Last year we were under what we really needed to be. I had my DP, my director of photography. He had his gaffer, but that was pretty much about it. They kind of had sometimes one assistant, and we had our sound guy. That was about it. I didn't even have a makeup artist every time, so I had to ask my comedians last year, my actors, to dress themselves up. It was really a small scale, but this time around, I lead a crew of 20 plus persons every time. So it's new again. It's my second one, but it's new once again because it's my first time leading so many people. But it's a necessary evil. Having that amount of persons in a set can be excruciating because when you shoot during fall outside with forecasts always changing, and then for weeks you plan those specific dates, and then 2-3 days before, it's gonna rain like hell, so you can't shoot there anymore. You have to rebook 20 persons, but they're all working on a volunteer basis, which means they all have day jobs. There's only me, silly me, who puts the day job aside for good. But it's my dream, it's my baby, right? It's impossible to rebook 20 persons for the next day because they booked my film weeks before. But of course they were asked to work on other places the days they were free. They took for granted that if we were aiming for the 19th, then of course the 20th we're not shooting. But then on the 17th, I see that on the 19th it's gonna rain like hell, so I have to move everything to the 20th. So the challenges are way bigger, way more numerous, but it's all worth it in the end. So there is that difference, of course. The other big difference is that I had it easy last year. Angélie told me yes right away. Angélie is a good friend of mine, so she told me yes for the part of Lauren right away. Benoit, of course, he's my good friend. He jumped right in when I asked him to be the shape. The only challenge was to cast Paul, Stephen McLean. It took a little while. I think the day before filming was set to start, I hadn't cast my Paul yet. But overall, it went pretty well. And we only had one filming location, and it was the house of Benoit's parents. So we were granted access for as long as we needed, for free, of course. The new story takes place in the same universe. Of course, we meet new characters, so I cannot go back to the location we previously used, so I needed new locations. That lock doesn't knock at your door twice, you know? Well, in my case, it kind of does. But usually, in real life, usually you're lucky once. You can't really be lucky twice. I have 5 different filming locations for this film. The reason is I had a very specific house in mind, like the layout, how it's organized, so my story unfolds properly, which means the front porch in real life is one house. The inside is another filming location. The backyard is a third filming location. There's also a second house that I need in the story that is a 4th filming location. But for the indoor scenes in the main house, the entire house works well except for one bedroom. So I needed a 5th filming location for that bedroom. Man, this is a puzzle to put all together. We have a bigger crew, but we have way more gear as well. But as everybody works on a volunteer basis, I cannot ask them to work hard outside of the shoots. So every time I have to bring the gear from A to B and B to C, I do it myself. So I have to borrow a friend's van because it's a lot of stuff and it won't fit in my car. Yeah, everything's bigger, everything is harder, it's very complex. But we're managing it. And now we finally finished our outdoor scenes a few days ago, and we're aiming indoors. I hope we manage to finish the entire shoot by the end of November.
It's and the crazy thing is, to the viewer, they're gonna have no idea that this is 5 different locations, because I know the care you take in the editing process. Now is I think we've talked about this. You're as far as the edit goes, it's in your computer.
Oh, yeah. It's in my yard. I'm not delegating the editing part to anyone. I'm gonna go get help for color grading this time around.
Sure.
Perhaps for sound design as well. Of course, Samuel Desrosiers is back to score the thing when the picture is locked. But as long as the editing itself is concerned, that's my thing to do, because it's way too much fun. Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't see anyone living up to what's in your head. Because at the end of the day, this was a dream that Dominick had in his head months ago. And now when it comes to, here's however many hours of footage, I can't even imagine how many hours of footage you're going to have at the end of this. Who's going to make the cut, or who's going to make the call on what's cut and what's kept? And I think that's got to be in your hands, man. Because when this ends up in your hands, good things happen. I mean, to say the least.
Well, the vision is there from the beginning, and I mean, I shoot in regard of that vision. So I shoot for editing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's a lot to be filmed, so I have sometimes to make difficult decisions. We film nights, right? And up until very recently, we hadn't changed the time. So the dark would start kind of late. And filming at night, you cannot ask people to stay up till 6 a.m. So it's pretty funny, because we shoot less time, but we are way more tired, because night shoots are killer. And I didn't think about it, but instead of filming 10 or 11 hours, I'm filming 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But I plan my shoot schedules like if it was for 10 hours. So when we get by the end of the night, oh my God, I didn't have time to film this. I didn't have time to film that. So I have to make decisions that will work for editing. But yeah, I make choices. But so far it works pretty well. And you've seen the teaser. We filmed that pretty quickly. And man, does it work? Oh, I like that 30 seconds teaser. Oh my God, I love it. It
is great. And I think, like I said, it just gives people enough to go, okay, we're safe. It's in Dominick's hands again. It looks pretty. It feels good. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel fake. We're in good shape. And then seeing this clip that you brought here today too, it's like, okay, not only in just the still pretty shots does this movie have it down, but even we're getting a little look at the action scenes and the tension being built up here. and it still feels really, really good, man. So you should be proud of yourself. I'm so excited. I'm freaking out. I mean, obviously I don't think you have any set date out there, correct?
I have an idea.
You have an idea.
I'm not sure if I'm going to make it in schedule, because there are things going on behind the scenes that might push back some filming dates. So I would still have to release the thing in January, just like last year, because that was a time frame that worked for me. It's not too long after filming has started. And January is so good for horror films. People are back. People stay inside. It's winter outside. Christmas just happened, so people are broke. So again, they stay home, and they are back to work after Christmas vacation. So they're looking to be entertained. And usually there's nothing much going out cinema wise, right? Or on TV. So I like a big window just for me to give them something they will like. And it worked really well last year. So if luck is still with me this year, January will still be the aiming time frame. But I cannot promise that at this point, because there's still so much to be done.
Well, and that would be the thing I would say too, is like, if anybody's seen the first one, they know what, you're capable of. And obviously we're taking this to a whole new level. Take your time, man. Take your time. We'll wait. It is, I think, especially in the last few months, I've seen you on different shows and doing different things, promoting either the first one or the second one now. And the fans are on your side, man. I in spaces you would not expect. I had somebody I was talking to at H45 that was talking to me about a rehauled mask they had. They brought up Darkness Reigns, and I said, he did Halloween Stalks, and the person I was talking to was like, oh my God, Stalks was a wonderful fan film, probably the best fan film that exists. And it's like, okay, Dominick's name is out there. Like, the fans, especially at H45 too, it was like, the fans are aware of this, because the uber hardcore fans absolutely know your stuff. And then as it goes down, I mean, it's making its way to the masses, man. And I genuinely can't think of a better person for this to be happening to. And I just look forward to everything that you got going on moving forward, even past Halloween. Even when you're done with Halloween Stalks 7, which is when you have confirmed is the last one, it's going to be a 7-piece masterpiece. No, just kidding. Even when you're past the Halloween stuff, man, I will be a fan of yours till the day I die. You are absolutely somebody who people are going to know. And I'm so excited. Now, I want you to give me, before we close out here today, give me the elevator pitch for Halloween Stalks 2. Give me, give the fans a reason to get excited. I mean, if they're not excited by now, I don't know how I can help you, man. This all looks beautiful, but give us some closing words on Halloween Stalks 2. Why it takes everything to the next level, and why is Dominick excited about Halloween Stalks 2?
Well, it's very in line with Halloween Stalks. I mean, we take everything we did good with the first one and we bring it further. So I wouldn't call it Halloween Stalks on steroids, because it's not the Tyler Mane to the Nick Castle. There's as much care put in it as it was with the first one. But the first one, I wrote the thing in 1 week. I've been working on the story for this one for months, and I humanized the whole thing. You've read the synopsis, right? We haven't talked about the cast a lot, because I still keep all this in the dark, because in due time I will make a post or an announcement and I will present the characters and the cast. But this time around, we follow a mother and her young son. Adding a kid in the mix, of course, it elevates the stakes, and it gives a whole different motivation to the main character, which is the mother, to survive. Like in the first one, Lauren, after Paul is not so nicely dispatched, her mission is to save herself. But this time around, you have a mother who has to not only save herself and stay alive, but she has to save her son as well. And I think people will be really on the edge of their seat, because, again, I tried to do everything I did good in the first one better. And one thing I think lacked in the first one was tension, because it went so fast and filming went so fast. On the first one, we were, again, a very small crew. So the set pieces would take way more time to install. I didn't film as much angles as I wanted to. And when you make a horror film and you want to create suspense scenes, you want to, and John Carpenter said that, you want to stretch those scenes as much as you can. Like, you will reuse the same shots. And if she walks through a corridor, you will have 5 angles, and it will take a minute for her to cross the corridor. But then music will build, the tension will follow, and you're on the edge of your seat. And I think tension lacks a little bit in the first one. So I'm trying to correct that with this one here. Also, I try to add something more, a layer more to this one. I think that the personality of Halloween Stalks is because it's happening outside in the woods, right? It was a different animal. It was a different Halloween film, very reminiscent in tone to the original, but as it happens mostly outside, it's its own thing. So I wanted to keep that in the second one. So we had 4 filming nights outside. So of course there are plenty of scenes happening outside, but we're moving inside. So there will be original Halloween's vibe, because we will also have stalking scenes inside the house. And this is going to be killer. So take Halloween Stalks, but bring it to the next level with more experience, more creativity, the same love, more passionate people working on it. I think it's going to be spectacular. I hope so. I do everything I can for that.
I truly believe everything so far that I know personally, and that now a little bit, little chunks to the fans have been given out here now. It really is a special thing. And I think when so much love goes into something, the universe will give it back, man. And I can't wait for you to get your flowers on this one, man. You talk about tension. I'm going to be in tension for the next few months until this thing drops. Dominick, before we go, you want to plug any socials? Let the people know where they can find you, where they can stay up to date on the latest Halloween Stalks 2 news, and where they can say, hey, what's going on?
I keep it simple, man. The same Instagram account, Halloween Stalks, very easy to find. I decided to centralize everything there. So breaking news, updates, everything you want to know will be posted there. But of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, because the film will be released on YouTube sometime next year. It's pretty much that. Other than that, what can I add on? I had an Indiegogo campaign running for a few weeks. Didn't work super well, so I'll leave it down for now. But I might start another one during post-production. I think I'll have an interesting incentive to encourage people to give this time around. But yeah,
Amazing.
follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, follow Dominick. Obviously, if that Indiegogo comes back up, we'll be promoting it here. We do everything we can to make sure Halloween Stalks 2 gets the love it deserves, and obviously the original. Check out the original if you haven't, down in the description below. I'll also include the trailer to Halloween Stalks 2. Make sure to follow Dominick, and thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Halloween Lives, the podcast of Michael Myers. I am Austin Duncan. That's my boy Dominick, and we'll see you next time. Dominick will be back once Halloween Stalks 2 is out, so we can break down all the nitty-gritty details.
I can't wait. And you better clear your schedule, man. I might need 3 episodes to go through everything that happened behind the scenes.
If that's what we gotta do, we'll do it.
Thank you very much for having me once again, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for being on, Dominick. You guys have a great rest of your day. And this has been Halloween Lives, the podcast of Michael Myers.